There's something happening in your life right now that you probably haven't noticed yet. A subtle shift in the fabric of reality around you. Small changes, tiny synchronicities, little moments that feel almost too insignificant to mention. But they're not insignificant. They're signals. They're breadcrumbs leading you toward something massive that's about to unfold in your world. You know that feeling when you're walking through a forest and suddenly the birds stop singing? That moment of complete stillness right before a storm breaks? That's where you are right now. Standing in the eye of your own personal hurricane of success, completely unaware that the winds are about to shift in your favor in ways you never imagined possible. Most people miss these signs entirely. They're so caught up in the noise of daily life, so focused on what's going wrong, so conditioned to expect disappointment, that they completely overlook the universe's way of preparing them for victory. But you're different. The fact that you're here, watching this video at this exact moment, tells me you're starting to sense something. You're beginning to recognize the pattern. What I'm about to share with you isn't some mystical nonsense or wishful thinking. This is based on decades of studying peak performers, analyzing breakthrough moments, and documenting the consistent patterns that show up right before someone's life completely transforms. And here's what nobody tells you about these patterns. They're not random. They're not coincidence. They follow a predictable sequence that, once you understand it, becomes impossible to ignore. You've probably heard people talk about being in the right place at the right time, about luck favoring the prepared, about overnight success that took 20 years to build. But what they don't explain is the specific sequence of events that precedes every major breakthrough, the telltale signs that victory isn't just possible, it's inevitable. Think about the last time something incredible happened in your life, something you'd been working toward, hoping for, maybe even praying for. Now think back to the weeks and days leading up to that moment. I guarantee you there were signs, patterns, little hints that something was building beneath the surface. You probably dismissed them at the time, wrote them off as meaningless coincidences, but they weren't meaningless at all. Here's what happens in the final phase before a major breakthrough. First, everything starts falling apart, not in a dramatic, catastrophic way, but in a systematic dismantling of everything that's been holding you back. Relationships that no longer serve you begin to naturally fade. Opportunities that seemed so important suddenly lose their appeal. Old patterns of thinking that used to make perfect sense start feeling foreign in your mind. This isn't failure. This is preparation. This is life clearing the deck for something bigger to land. But most people panic during this phase. They try to hold on to what's dissolving. They interpret the dismantling as evidence that they're moving in the wrong direction, when actually it's proof they're moving in exactly the right direction. The second thing that happens is what I call the amplification effect. Everything in your life becomes more intense. Your emotions feel deeper. Your intuition becomes sharper. Conversations carry more weight. Even mundane experiences seem to have hidden meanings. This isn't you becoming overly sensitive or reading too much into things. This is your consciousness expanding to match the magnitude of what's about to manifest in your reality. During this phase, you might find yourself having vivid dreams, waking up with solutions to problems you didn't even know you were working on, having conversations with strangers that feel strangely significant, finding books, articles, or videos that seem to be speaking directly to your situation. These aren't coincidences. These are confirmations, the universe's way of letting you know you're on the right track. Then comes the third phase, and this is where it gets really interesting. You start receiving what I call preview experiences, little tastes of the success that's coming. Maybe you get a small win in an area where you've been struggling. Maybe someone recognizes your talent in a way that catches you off guard. Maybe you have a moment of clarity where you can see exactly how everything is going to work out. These preview experiences serve a specific purpose. They're not the main event, they're preparation for the main event. They're building your capacity to receive and handle the full magnitude of what's heading your way. Because here's the thing about major breakthroughs: they require a different version of you to sustain them. The person you were before the breakthrough wouldn't know how to handle the person you become after it. The fourth phase is what separates those who break through from those who stay stuck forever. This is the testing phase. Right before your victory arrives, life will present you with one final examination, not to punish you, but to confirm that you're ready, that you've truly integrated the lessons you needed to learn, that you've become the person who deserves what's about to be given to you. This test rarely looks like what you'd expect. It doesn't come with clear instructions or obvious answers. It usually shows up as a situation that requires you to demonstrate the exact qualities you've been developing throughout your journey. Courage when you'd rather hide, faith when logic suggests otherwise, patience when everything inside you wants to rush, authenticity when it would be easier to pretend. Most people fail this final test, not because they don't have the right answers, but because they don't recognize it as a test. They think it's just another obstacle, another delay, another reason to doubt whether their breakthrough is really coming. But those who understand the pattern, those who recognize the test for what it is, they pass with flying colors. And that's when everything changes. The fifth and final phase is what I call the cascade effect. Once you pass that final test, once you prove to yourself and the universe that you're ready, the floodgates open, not just in one area of your life, but across multiple areas simultaneously. Success starts showing up faster than you can process it. Opportunities multiply exponentially. People start seeking you out instead of you chasing them. But here's the crucial part that most people miss. The cascade effect isn't just about external success. It's about internal transformation. You don't just achieve different results. You become a different person. Someone who naturally attracts the things you used to have to chase. Someone who operates from abundance instead of scarcity. Someone who trusts the process because you've seen firsthand how perfectly orchestrated everything really is. Now, if you're recognizing yourself in what I've been describing, if something inside you is nodding along with a quiet sense of recognition, then you need to understand what's happening to you right now. You're not just randomly stumbling across this information. You're receiving it precisely when you need it most. This is part of your cascade effect beginning to unfold. But let me tell you about the shadow side of this process that nobody talks about. The part that can derail everything if you're not prepared for it. Right before your breakthrough fully manifests, you're going to face what I call the final resistance. This is when your old identity makes one last desperate attempt to keep you exactly where you are. It shows up as doubt that feels more convincing than any doubt you've ever experienced. It whispers that you're deluding yourself, that you're reading meaning into meaningless events, that you should be more realistic, more practical, more like everyone else who settled for mediocrity. This resistance is so sophisticated that it will use your own wisdom against you. It will make logical arguments for why you should abandon your path, just steps before you reach your destination. The people around you might start acting differently too. Some will become uncomfortable with your transformation without being able to articulate why. Others will try to pull you back into old patterns of thinking and being. They're not being malicious. They're just responding to the energetic shift happening within you. Your evolution challenges their stagnation, and that makes them unconsciously want to keep you at their level. This is when most people give up, when the pressure feels too intense, when the old ways seem safer, when the unknown feels too uncertain. They retreat back to familiar territory just days or weeks before their breakthrough would have arrived. They convince themselves they were being unrealistic, that success like this doesn't happen to people like them, that they should be grateful for what they already have. But you're not most people. If you were, you wouldn't still be here listening to this. You wouldn't have made it through all the previous phases. You wouldn't be feeling that deep resonance with these words that tells you this is your truth being spoken back to you. Here's what you need to know about navigating this final resistance. First, expect it. When it shows up, don't be surprised. Don't interpret it as evidence that you're on the wrong path. Recognize it as confirmation that you're closer than you've ever been. The resistance is always strongest right before the breakthrough, because that's when the old version of you is fighting hardest to survive. Second, remember that this resistance isn't coming from some external force trying to stop you. It's coming from within you. It's the part of your psyche that's terrified of change, even positive change. It's trying to protect you from the unknown, but it's actually protecting you from your own greatness. Once you understand this, you can work with it instead of against it. Third, use this resistance as fuel. Every doubt, every fear, every logical argument why you should quit becomes energy you can channel toward your breakthrough. The intensity of the resistance is directly proportional to the magnitude of the success that's waiting for you. The stronger the resistance, the bigger the victory that's about to unfold. There's something else that happens during this final phase that's absolutely crucial to understand. Time starts behaving differently. Days feel like weeks, weeks feel like months, but also moments feel eternal. This isn't your imagination. This is what happens when you're operating at the edge of a major life transition. You're existing in multiple timelines simultaneously. The timeline where you're still becoming, and the timeline where you've already arrived. This temporal distortion serves giving a purpose. It's you time to fully integrate everything you've learned, to become comfortable with the idea of being successful, to start seeing yourself as someone who naturally attracts victory instead of someone who has to fight for every small win. You're literally rewiring your identity at the deepest level. During this time, you might find yourself having experiences that feel almost prophetic. Conversations that seem scripted by the universe. Encounters with people who say exactly what you need to hear. Finding yourself in situations that feel like they were designed specifically for you. This isn't coincidence. This is confirmation. You're being shown that the path you're on is divinely orchestrated. But here's where it gets really powerful. You start becoming a magnet for other people who are on the verge of their own breakthroughs. You'll notice that the people entering your life now are different. They're more aligned with your vision, more supportive of your growth, more excited about your success. This is because you're vibrating at the frequency of victory, and that frequency naturally attracts others who are resonating at similar levels. The conversations you have during this time will feel different too. Deeper, more meaningful, more solution-oriented. You'll find yourself speaking with a certainty you didn't know you possessed, making decisions from a place of knowing rather than hoping, acting with a confidence that surprises even you. This is your new identity emerging. The person you're becoming is starting to take precedence over the person you used to be. And this new version of you doesn't just hope for success, doesn't just work toward it, doesn't just believe it's possible. This new version of you expects success because you understand that it's not something you have to earn or deserve. It's something that naturally flows to those who align themselves with the principles you've been mastering. So if you're recognizing these patterns in your own life right now, if you're feeling that unmistakable sense that something massive is building beneath the surface, then you need to understand what this moment represents. This isn't just another phase you're going through. This isn't just another temporary shift. This is the culmination of everything you've been working toward, learning from, and growing into. The dismantling, the amplification, the preview experiences, the final test, the cascade effect. These aren't separate events happening to you randomly. They're part of one unified process designed to transform you into someone who doesn't just achieve success, but someone who embodies it so completely that it becomes as natural as breathing. Your victory isn't coming despite the challenges you faced. It's coming because of them. Every setback prepared you for this comeback. Every moment of doubt strengthened your faith. Every time you almost gave up but didn't, You prove to yourself and the universe that you're ready for what's about to unfold. The signs are all around you right now. The synchronicities, the unexpected opportunities, the people entering your life, the clarity that's emerging from what used to feel like chaos. These aren't coincidences. They're confirmations. The universe is preparing to deliver everything you've been working toward, and it's giving you these signals so you'll recognize the moment when it arrives. Your breakthrough isn't just possible, it's inevitable, and it's closer than you think.